I feel terrible. I mean, at that point, I think you're running more of a scam than a business, really. You know, you're promising people something that you're not delivering.
When did you start submitting Alta California to film festivals?
I started, I think we finished a movie. I think it was officially done November 2022. And that's when I started submitting right away.
And how many have you submitted to since then?
A total of, let's see, 24 festival rejections plus 4 festivals we got into. So yeah, 29, 30 festivals total, yeah.
30 festivals total. And how much money have you spent on festival submissions?
It's funny because I did do the great thing about doing this is that when I do my taxes, of course, I put all the expenses there because you can get some breaks out of that. So about $2,000, yeah, in total, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's for just submission fees, yeah. Then there's of course room and board and all that stuff. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I spent way more during our festival run than I did making the movie, for sure.
Oh, and how far did you travel with some of the festivals? Because you said you got into 4 or 5?
Yeah, 4, 5, I think. Let's see, we got into Smalt Castle, was in New Jersey, the Kevin Smith Smith Film Festival. That's our world premiere, actually.
Awesome.
And then we did for Lauderdale International. Then they invited us to San Agustin Film Festival, and so we didn't have to submit to that. Then we got into Chandler Film Festival, and then Dances with Films. Yeah.
Chandler, Arizona?
Chandler, Arizona, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for almost all of them you traveled then, except for Dances with Films?
Exactly, all of them except one. Yeah, our last one pretty much, yeah.
And are you paying for cast and crew to go to, or no, that they're on their own?
I can't. There's just no way.
That's understandable.
I pay for myself, but I told them like I'll get the room and you guys can just crash. But even then, my cast and crew, I mean, like me, we're all like just trying to make ends meet, and a lot of them couldn't afford it. But if I, for example, if I had like a film festival in New Jersey, a friend of mine drove down from Vermont. One of my associate producers, Nick Wyborski, he drove down. And then when we had it in Florida, I did have my director of photography, Joe Turman. He actually was able to drive to those. But that's why the one in LA was so special for Dances with Films, because then every single person involved with the movie, except for like 1 or 2, was able to make it. So everybody came, yeah.
Very cool. And it was like a screening of 200 people or so?
Screening of 200 people. We played to a sold-out theater because I made it my life to promote it heavily a month in advance, which is the time they gave us to actually start promoting it. Because we couldn't announce it publicly until they did. So then they announced it publicly, and then I was able to like promote the screening. So yeah, for a month I was obsessed because I needed to. I felt like I had this weird idea in my head, imposter syndrome, something that people deal with all the time. I knew we were the lowest budget in the entire festival, and I can't be the lowest attendance. So I was like, I have to sell this out. I had this weird idea that people were gonna kick me out of the festival if I didn't sell it out. It was a make-believe threat that didn't exist, but so that stuff motivates me. So I promoted the crap out of it, yeah.
You submitted to 28 to 30 film festivals. You spent about $2,000 on festival submissions, not counting room and board. You ended up getting into 5 film festivals for Alta California. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? It's interesting because no regrets. There's festivals that I just had to see what was going to happen. I would have felt foolish. I would have regretted not having done it. And you know how people say sometimes, it's better to regret things you did than things you didn't do. I knew I was never going to submit to Sundance. That was never even in my periphery. I knew I was not going to submit to Sundance. That was like in fact, I knew I wasn't going to submit to top tier film festivals. That was the first part of the film festival strategy or whatever. I also had watched a documentary, which I recommend everybody watches, called Official Rejection. It's a fantastic documentary that gives a very realistic view of film festivals and what to expect from them. So the time of like getting to a festival, becoming rich and famous, I'll be lying to you, there's a tiny part of me that maybe held a little bit of hope about that, but it's unrealistic. It's just not the way it happens nowadays. So no regrets for the film festivals I submitted to, I think. What I did first, I submitted to like mid-tier festivals, but some festivals with like a really great reputation, but they weren't like the top tiers. Didn't get into them, so I'm like, okay, so I'm not gonna make it into those. Let me go a little, a level below or whatever. Or not even a level below, but also like focus on which festivals are really well reviewed. So I started doing some research and what experiences do people get out of them, and maybe focus on that, on getting like a good experience from a festival, right? And it's very interesting. I think there's something in it for everybody. I think anybody can relate to this movie. But as far as film festivals goes, we've had actually more success, for example, on the East Coast than we did on the West Coast. So that was surprising too. We did New Jersey and 2 festivals in Florida before we ever headed to the Southwest, I think the way I did it, for having never done a festival run before, I think I'm actually happy with what I did. So you play the lottery inevitably, but it's like how bad are your odds pretty much, and you have to kind of take that into consideration. But yeah, the truth is, we submitted to 30 film festivals, we got 24 rejections, which, by the way, also at one point you just become immune to them. Rejections are just part of your weekly routine, and you care less and less. They all hurt, but they hurt for less and less time, increasingly so. Gradually, you kind of get a thick skin about it. And even though, 24 rejections, if you look at our reviews, they're very small, they're below 10 views. So a lot of film festivals are not gonna watch your full movie. They might make your movie, the decision either based on nothing, they might never even watch it. They might, because it happens, like we had a few festivals that actually, never even corresponded with us, nothing. Some festivals unfortunately got shut down and we didn't hear back. And then some people might I'm guessing they make their festival decisions based on your trailer alone. That could happen. And that's why I encourage people to have it on maybe both their trailer and the full movie on Vimeo, because then you can actually get really good analytics about the view count and all that. So yeah, and then you get to see what it is. Yeah, not everybody's watching your movie. And that hurts because you put so much work into it. You don't have to like my movie. You don't have to get into your festival, but maybe just watch it, But yeah, the festivals that we did get into, we ended up doing pretty well in them. And that was reassuring because after so many rejections, again, so I did the cast and crew screening in 2023, early 2023, and it was nothing but rejections until that June. June is when I received the first acceptance. So 6 months of all rejections. And then Gregory von Hausch, the president and CEO for Lauderdale, said, I loved your film. You're in. And that changed everything. Because I was about to just call it. 6 months. How much longer how many more rejections can you get until you're like, you know what, maybe this is not a festival movie, which I thought at one point. And then he changed that with 3 words.
You submitted to 28 to 30 festivals. How many times was your movie watched by these film festival judges?
The official view count on Vimeo is less than 10. I think it was 8 at one point and now more. But yeah, about 8. So 24 festival rejections, 30 festivals total, but yeah, only 8 views at one point. Yeah, that was a big that was a big realization that, wow, not everybody's watching your movie.
And it registers a view after how many seconds?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But even then, they're not watching the full movie. So I also get it, to be honest. If somebody doesn't watch the full movie, you can tell whether a movie is good or bad rather soon. But I think some film festivals really put the effort into having people watch it and more than one person watch it, and then they come together, and if one person says yes and no, then a third person comes in. So some festivals really do it the right way. And by the way, if you ask any filmmaker, if you get into the festival, in your mind, they're doing it the right way. So you can be a little biased about that as well. But yeah, not everybody's gonna watch your film before rejecting it. Yeah, you don't get a chance, yeah.
At least 20 film festivals took your money and didn't even watch your movie. So how do you feel about this?
I feel terrible. I mean, at that point, I think you're running more of a scam than a business, really. You know, you're promising people something that you're not delivering. You can reject me, but to be rejected, you need to at least watch the product. And yeah, that's again. And then you see the movies that are going in, and you go to watch these movies, and you're like, I think my movie could have made it to this festival just fine. But yeah, sometimes it's a lot of times, unfortunately, it's who you know. Dances with Films is known to not do that. I think it's part of their slogan, actually. But there's other film festivals that you just never know. And by the way, if you're a celebrity, not only are you getting into a festival, you're also winning an award automatically. Like that happens as well. It's because why? Because again, they're also businesses. They get more press out of it. So the more you have to offer the festival, the greater your chances are of getting in. But then, you know, when you go to these festivals and you watch the movies, that speaks for itself. You know, like you can, the audience, no matter how famous the person is, the actor is in that feature film or short film even, the audience will let you know whether they're worth, you know, they're worth the ticket or watching it or sitting through that movie. And I think that's, those are the true judges of your movie, really. And I think that's why, to me, it was worth it to get into a film festival too, is to travel with the movie, get this experience, build a network, but also I wanted to see audiences' live reactions and people that had nothing to do with me. Because yeah, the cast and crew, at your cast and crew screening, they're gonna love it, they're gonna tell you how awesome you are. But yeah, they're part of it. There's something, you know, they have some skin in the game, you know? Whereas watching complete strangers love your film, I mean, I'll take that with me forever. That was amazing.
Were you able to see the average view duration of these festivals that did get your link for the submission and watch your film?
You know what, I have not. There were so few that, and again, pretty much if I were to do the math, whoever watched our movie completely accepted us into their festival. When I do the math. So at that point, I'm like, we got, you know, it kind of speaks for itself. And that actually boosted my confidence too, because it's like, oh, you know what, people who do give us a chance, they kind of love the film, you know, so that felt really good.
Did you talk with any of the festivals and ask them for a refund? If they didn't, you knew they didn't watch your film and you didn't get in?
I did not. At that point, I think it's, first of all, they're not gonna do it. And second, yeah, I think it's a losing battle. I did not. I think also people are scared to, like, you know, look bad or look difficult. And that definitely is a worry of mine, because there's festivals that I'm like, this is not good and people should not submit to this festival. But yeah, people are very hesitant to do that. When that happens, I just decide not to say anything. But when it's good, I decide to I give them a positive review when I have a good experience. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to do that on these public websites, you know, they just give 5 stars no matter what, because they don't want to look bad in the eyes of the festival that admitted them, you know, that accepted them. So I understand why artists are reserved in that regard. I don't know if it's really a battle worth fighting, to be honest.
Did you send separate screeners, like, you know, give them separate links for each festival you applied to?
No, I did not. I had a YouTube link before, but that got leaked by someone, unfortunately, so I had to like shut it down. And then I made one on Vimeo, which is great because then you can actually, you get the analytics for it, and the view count is very specific. It's more, it's more detailed, the analytics. So no, then everybody got the same link, yeah.
It got leaked? Did someone put it on a torrent site?
No, it got leaked as in like, YouTube had a link for an unlisted video on YouTube, and somebody just like sent it to his friends, thinking they were trying to help me out, like promoting it, not knowing that, oh no, you don't do that, you know. So be careful with that too, you know, like keep your links private. The thing is that at that point, I was only getting rejections for 6 months. So I was like, you know what, if you're gonna watch a movie, just watch it, you know. So yeah, getting to that first festival in Fort Lauderdale kind of changed everything. Because I would have probably saved a lot of money, but when you start getting into festivals, you know, it's money well spent, you know, like you make an investment, you get something out of it. And I did get flown out to Fort Lauderdale and San Agustin, and they put me up and everything. So that was great. I mean, yeah, that is worth many times my submission fee. Of course, if you get rejected, then you get nothing out of it. So it's tough with film festivals. It's really tough to make those decisions. I, on my end, have no regrets.
When you submit to these film festivals, are they asking on the form what other festivals you've played at?
Well, actually, yeah. When Film Freeway is such a great website because it's all in one place, centralized. So you have to put where it has screened, and yeah, festivals want world premiere. Some festivals don't care, but the most prestigious film festivals do. We were actually very lucky to get into Dances with Films because they want world premieres. But we went with it anyway because, again, that was another person that we met that were like, you know what, maybe this is worth a try. I wasn't going to try to submit to Dances with Films because I thought, we've already screened it at these other places. They want world premieres. It's a very prestigious film festival. But I met this director that our movies pretty much traveled together. She's the director of American Pot Story. Her name is Ravid Marcus. And I met up with her for coffee. She said, hey, you know what, That's It With Films is doing a mixer. Why don't we come to it? And they're open to the public. And you can meet the feature programmer. I met Ariana and I told her about my movie. Ravid vouched for me. And she's like, you know what, we do prefer world premieres, like everyone does, but give it a shot, why not? And I did, and we got in. So I tell people, what I would tell people now is like, if you can make a personal connection in any way with the festival and also show them that you have what it takes to fill a theater too, because in the end, we're all artists, but we're also businesses. So at the end, we need to actually find a way to fund all these resources. And film festivals are not any different, So a lot of them are nonprofit too, but even then, they need funding. So selling tickets is important. So if you can demonstrate an ability to do so, I think you definitely need to mention that. That'll be a good thing to bring up. And again, try to make a personal connection any way you can. Try to go to a film festival without a movie, which has never even occurred to me. But yeah, you could go to a festival, meet people you need to meet, and then submit the next year. I mean, that would be actually a great idea, and it wouldn't take much time. So I think it's definitely an effort worth making.
Can you make a case for submitting to a film festival where you will have to spend money on a submission, but it won't make you rich and famous? Mm-hmm. And then make a case for why not submitting to too many festivals is a good idea as well?
Yes, definitely. I think I did submit to too many festivals because, again, it was a learning process like everything. Every single step of this movie has been learning by doing. So I could have submitted to fewer festivals, but looking back, it was, I'll say this, if you find a festival that doesn't accept you, try to find that category of festivals and maybe skip that and go. And that's what we kind of try to do. But even in doing that, I remember at one point I decided, okay, I'm not going to submit to a festival that costs more than $50 for submission. So then that eliminated a bunch of festivals, which is great. It allowed me to narrow it down. And it also, a lot of the submissions were also like either super cheap or free. That happens as well. Look for those. So it's weird. Like, I don't regret submitting to all those festivals, but yeah, I could have definitely submitted to fewer. You can also pay somebody to devise a festival strategy for you, but really, if you're willing to do the work, you can do the research yourself, and you don't need anybody to help you with it. So it's up to you. I don't think submitting to a festival is actually for everybody. I completely respect people that are like, you know what, we're not submitting to festivals, we're gonna put it online and start to make some ad revenue from it, or I wanna put it online as soon as possible. Because the second you put it online, you get disqualified from pretty much all festivals, and you can no longer submit. So I completely respect that decision. So it's hard for me to make a case to submit for film festivals. Myself, why I did it was because I wanted to get the most out of this experience. So even if it was to be disillusioned from film festivals, I wanted to actually be able to tell that from my own experience, instead of just based on everybody else's, of other people's opinions, And I knew also that me not having a strong network of filmmakers, because it was I'm so new to it, I knew it's something I had to do, at least with my first feature. And creating a community of with other filmmakers, to network with filmmakers, not necessarily, and this is also the same way I make this movie, this is also the same way I made this movie. I didn't, Issa Rae said, don't network up, try to network across. So to me, film festivals, that was my goal with these film festivals, to create a community of filmmakers, and whether they live in a different state, in a different country, and kind of like establish these connections, because I don't have any. So now I know a bunch of filmmakers that, you know, I can actually, for my next project, I can, you know, I've met their actors, and actors that I think are fantastic. For example, if I make another feature film, which is the plan, I have, you know, I have people on my radar that I can maybe cast or ask them for advice or for help. And if they respect your movie, they know the same thing. I mean, you never know what can come out of these connections. And for example, for Lauderdale, yeah, again, we met one of the co-founders of Slamdance. His name is John Fitzgerald, and he helped us get into Chandler. So that happened without us expecting it. Then in St. Augustine, I met a potential investor, and that was a film festival that we were just invited to because of Fort Lauderdale by Gregory von Hausch, the president. And yeah, an investor came out of that. Nothing came out of it, but you know what? I'm talking to an investor. We looked him up. He was legit. And you just never, that's the thing, you never know who you're going to meet. So yeah, don't go broke going to festivals, but if you've never done it before, I think it's worth doing. Yeah, and again, you just never know who you're going to meet. It could be at a party, you know, at an after party. It could be another filmmaker. And again, I think when you go in with the mindset that, oh, let me see what I can get out of this person, more like, hey, let me meet some people, establish some connections, and not expect anything from it. Just try to build a network and a community of other artists. And that was really my only expectation from it. And again, I always went into this in the mindset of documenting my experience, and I've been documented every single film festival. I have footage from all of them. So no matter what, I'm gonna use it for my own online presence and self-promotions as well. So whether it goes well or it doesn't, I'm gonna talk about my experience. I'm gonna talk about my experiences at these festivals. And so far, I mean, with very few exceptions, have been phenomenal experiences. So, yeah.
And when you watch the documentary Official Rejection, what takeaways did you apply to your own situation?
Oh, yes. So a few things. One person said, when you submit to a festival, your submission fee might be nothing, but just paying for an actor's hotel room. And that's good. I like that because it's like so real. That's real advice. Maybe just a business, and they need all these hopeful filmmakers to pay for, you know, the after party. That's a real thing. Another thing is that, yeah, everything has changed, you know. Back in the day, a movie made for $5,000 that, you know, wins awards may have gotten us maybe a distribution deal or something, you know, a representation, maybe. Those days have changed, you know, so because there's so many more people have access to, you know, filmmaking, it's just the competition is too great. And to like get something out of this festival, something that concrete of like somebody, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make all your dreams come true, is just a very unrealistic way to look at film festivals. And that was something made very clear by the documentary Official Selection, so I'm so glad that I watched it.